be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger. Amen. Please be seated. Merry Christmas, everybody. It is so good to be here this evening and to have each of you here with us. This is my third Christmas at All Saints, but it is the first time I am here in person with all of you, and it is good to be here. My first Christmas here at All Saints was December 2020, so we missed that one. Last year, since I hadn't experienced Christmas here at All Saints before, I was speaking with some of the parents who were describing the service to me. One mom said, "And when that voice rings out from the back of the sanctuary, once in Royal David City, I cry every time." So after that description, I couldn't wait to be here last year. Instead, though, I found myself quarantined with a house full of sickness. Richard stepped in for me last Christmas Eve. So I found a quiet space in my house and I watched online. And as the service began, a clear voice rang out from the back of the sanctuary. Once in Royal David City stood a lowly cattle shed where a mother laid her baby in a manger for his bed. Mary was that mother mild, Jesus was her little child. And when last year, even over live stream, that voice rang out, I started to cry. And truth be told, I started to cry again tonight because there is a magic and a beauty to this night. Every year we have this opportunity amidst the hustle and the bustle and the presents and the parties. We have this opportunity to be reminded of the sacred, the eternal. Every year we get to be enchanted by the story of God who, in an act of self-revelation, squeezed God's very being into the form of a baby, to live and walk among humans, to speak with human tongue, to reveal flashes of God's essence to us. Tiny and fragile and ordinary, and yet the most amazing miracle ever, a baby. There is an unusual porousness to this season. Our attention is drawn outside ourselves as we retell this story of our faith, and we open ourselves to these stories in a special way. I've been thinking recently about what it means that we are a people of the book, the keepers of stories. In church school and at my Grown Up in Me Eucharist, we've been talking about the cycle of the church year and the colors of the church year and how each year we remember and retell our stories. We learn and preserve and enliven, and we pass on our stories. And we do this because our stories are beautiful and true and sometimes entertaining. We do this because our stories point us toward the holy. They point us toward awe. And we create rituals around our stories in ways that become part of the story that is passed on into the future. A few days ago, I had the pleasure of placing the creche on the altar. And as I did, I noticed the cracks and the broken places, and the dog that's lost almost all of its fur, and the donkey that has less than one ear. And I also noticed the intricacy and the care and the craftsmanship invested in creating each piece. the sack the shepherd wears at his waist, the sandal straps crisscrossed up the legs of the Magi. Even the decades-old waxed cardboard in which the pieces are stored, tied together with a rope. Christmas wouldn't be Christmas at All Saints without this beloved, bedraggled, Roald Dahl-esque nativity scene. A Saints Alive article was written by Marianne Evett in 2016 in which she reported that this creche was here when Reverend Louis Pitt arrived in 1954. It has been part of the All Saints story for well over 68 years. This community is rich with rituals that have become part of the All Saints Christmas story. A recipe passed down from a beloved friend, lovingly prepared and shared with others each Christmas. A parent whose children now participate in creating this Christmas service for all of us marveled at how years ago they used to admire the older children, and now their children are here doing the same. A mother who many years ago was the first clear voice to ring out from the back of the sanctuary, today is able to hear her daughter do the same, singing Once in Royal David's City. Each time we travel around the liturgical calendar, the grooves of our experience grow deeper and deeper, layering more and more meaning into our experience of Christmas, even as we become part of the story that we preserve and enrich for those who come after us. And with each turn of the year, with each deepening groove in our memory, our stories point us more and more in the direction of the divine. And though we see only flashes of that truth, this day of all days, we catch a glimpse of God come down to our scale. As Evelyn Underhill puts it in a selection of her writings that were arranged for Advent, the depth and richness of God's being are entirely unknown to us, and yet the unlimited life who is love so loved the world as to desire to give the deepest secrets of God's heart to this small, fugitive, imperfect creation to us. And then the heavens opened, and what was disclosed? A baby, God made flesh, end quote. A baby, concrete and ordinary, and yet a miracle. God with us. And so tonight, as we observe and remember and join in this central story of our faith, may we catch a glimpse of the magic and the mystery of the holy. May this baby help us see the visible and the invisible, the beauty, the truth, the pure, the eternal in human scale. This Christmas with the shepherds, may you dare to approach the divine. May you travel alongside the Magi, offering your gifts to the Holy One. May you open your ears to hear the voices of the angels ring out, and may the beauty of that sound bring tears to your eyes. Amen.